This is the Cricket Matters podcast, and today's topic is stiff lats, shit shots. How tight lats impact your batting. And yes, James and I did smile and chuckle at that podcast title. I think it's one of the best we've ever done, actually, and hopefully it piqued your guys' interest. So again, this relates to the last podcast we did on the neck. If you hadn't listened to that one, I'd highly recommend going back. So James, let's come on to one. Well, actually, you know what? People might not even know what the lats are for a start, so we need to explain what the lats are, potentially where they are in your body, and why tight lats then obviously might impact your batting ability.
So the lats are some of the biggest muscles, if not the biggest, but the biggest muscle in the body, essentially. Yep. So it's this big thing around your back, connecting underneath your armpits. Again, very simple layman's terms. For any anatomy experts out there, please don't quote us on this now. We're trying to make it as simple as possible.
Well, I think it's important to point out that, it comes from your back, goes all the way up your side, but it connects in the front.
Yes.
That's really important. It connects in the front, or one place that it connects is the front.
So many aspects into here. So it gets here. But guess what? You use them all day long, they can get stiff and tight very much, particularly if you try and do pull-ups all day long or whatever. So a lot of cricketers we're seeing end up having stiff, tight lats, which then impact the shoulders. The shoulders get rounded. The more rounded they get, the tighter these get. And you end up walking around like Quasimodo, for those who can see me on YouTube right now, doing my best Quasimodo impression. Now, well, what has that got to do with batting, right? It's got a lot to do with it, right? Because when you're batting, if you want to increase bat speed and hand speed coming through, you're going to have this principle of what we call relaxation and tension, right? It can be fast and loose. At the point of contact, you're tense, but if you're too tense, you become slow, right?
But it's that instant tension, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's the ability to create that tension in.
And I think the best way to describe it is look at boxers. And I go back to the years, for those who remember Manny Pacquiao, there was a wonderful video of him shadow boxing in the gym before one of his Mayweather fights. And he was just like dancing around the ring, doing shadow boxing, starting off nice and loose, dancing around, and went on and on and on and on. And he got faster and faster and faster until at the point when he was doing his punches, he was going so fast, but at the point of contact, he went absolutely ripped, right? Yeah. So the point was like he was loose and he literally hit the pads. And at the point of contact, he went from being someone who looked like, well, he doesn't look that ripped, to, oh my God, he's ripped. Right? In a split second, and to slow it down to watch it. So it's called, it's the principle of fast and loose. It's what we need to be doing as batsmen. If you're stiff, you're slow. Right? If you're loose, you're fast. But there's a principle of fast and loose where you've got to have this balance in between. Now, what I see with so many batsmen, this is, we can talk about the lats with bowlers and fielders too. Right? We'll do that for other podcasts. But in terms of batsmen, if you have stiff lats, I guarantee you pretty much have stiff shoulders. Now, if you have stiff lats, stiff shoulders, and tight neck, which we discussed in the previous podcast, it's a recipe for disaster in terms of batting. Because guess what? You're so tense, you can't bring your bat down, right? You can't go in the right bat path. It's slow, it's clunky. It ends up you feeling for the ball instead of letting the ball come down nice and fluid and relaxed. Okay? Now, a good way to describe this is I want you to, at home or in the car right now, take your shoulders up and bring your shoulders up to your ears, right? Now, bring the shoulders up to your ears. Now, round your shoulders over, facing forward. And now, try and swing a bat. Pretend you're swinging your bat. If you're driving, keep one hand on the steering wheel.
Be careful if you're in the car, though. Yeah.
Right? But that is tension. You've got no back path to go, right? Your hands can't go back. Be slow and clunky like a robot, right? Now shake them all off and just nice and hands nice and relaxed. Just try and swing side to side, right? They have this swing, this movement, this flow, right? You see a lot of batsmen, like Joe Root's a great example. He unweights the bat, shakes it up and down. He has this beautiful flow with his bat coming down because he has a great ability to have and time the ball extremely well, okay? He doesn't have tight shoulders, right? Even Josh Butler, He's not grimacing boom, as he smashes the wall at boundary. It's fast and loose. You see his front shoulder being he shakes his front shoulder to relax his front shoulder before he hits it, right? But what's the relationship with the lats? Well, the lats stop you from getting your arms back. It increases tension, right? Which then means your hands aren't going to go back as far, so you're not going to create as much bat speed. Your timing is going to be off, right? It makes you tense, and it means you're forcing the ball out in front of you. And there's a high potential your bat path will be inside out, so we have a load of technical issues going on. So we look at the lats, because if they're tight and restricted, we know they also unplug the power cord. Now, you generate power from the floor, right? Golf have done loads of studies on this, and they know that you generate power from the floor, and if you have poor posture and tight lats, it unplugs this cord, and you lose that connection, which then impacts your swing. It's the same in cricket. It's exactly the same in cricket. So if you lose this connection between lats and your pelvis, you're unplugging the cord for power, and you're creating poor posture, which impacts your technique coming through.
And can also lead to greater injury risk as well.
Yes, particularly in shoulders and throwing.
Yeah.
Particularly shoulders and throwing. So again, we're looking for smooth back path, good alignment with the back path coming down. But again, this is why we look at your movement ability. If you have tight lats, you're going to struggle. If you have tight lats, it obviously mostly means you have rounded shoulders. If you have rounded shoulders, guess where your weight distribution is going? To the offside. You're leaning over. So where does your body want to go as the ball's coming down? Yeah, to the offside. If you fall to the offside, what happens? LBW bowled out. Various different things causes a whole load of issues, right? So something as simple as our lat test tells us straight away if it's an issue that we need to work on, because we can almost guarantee it's going to impact your technical ability when it comes down to batting, playing on the onside, hitting a clean ball, your timing, and playing out in front of you. So it's so important to us.
Yeah. Cool. So just quickly then, can you try your best and describe what the lat test is, and then give a couple of examples, simple examples for people to try and fix it if they've got a problem?
Yeah, so very quickly, with the lat test, all you're going to do is you're going to find a wall. We use very expensive tools here at Cricket Matters. We use a wall, and you're going to stand with your legs about 6 to 8 inches in front of you, right? And lean back like you're doing a mini squat. You're not going to parallel.
Like a quarter squat.
Quarter squat, yeah. A quarter squat, yeah. But your back's against the wall. But what you need to do, though, is you're not arching your back. Your back, the middle of the back, needs to be flat against the wall, along with your shoulders and your bum, right? So there's no space, there's no daylight in between there. Now, a really good way to do it is take a bit of paper, put it behind your back. As you're leaning against the wall, push that bit of paper into the back and hold it there as you're doing this quarter squat. You're then going to take your both arms in front of you, right? With your thumbs up, you're going to give a double thumbs up. By keeping that bit of paper stuck to the wall and with your back tight against it, you're going to try and raise your arms up as high as you can, and you're going to try and touch the wall behind you with your thumbs without arching the back or losing contact with that bit of paper, right? So it's a flat back. I'm going to see if your shoulders and your thumbs can touch the wall behind you. If they can't touch, we know we have tight lats and they need to be addressed. Again, is it an injury? Is it just tight muscles? But they're easily fixable with a bit of work. I think that's the best way to describe it. So what we tend to, so for very simple people, a lot of people with tight lats, the youngsters, they just don't train them, or they're overtraining them and they don't know how to do any release work. So again, foam roller. I was going to say number one, foam roll, release, mobility balls. Number one. Mobility ball, massage gun, get it in there, start doing that to break the tissue up. Go for a massage. You know, it'll be painful. Tell them to get into there and tell them to specifically work on the infraspinatus, right? If you want to be really technical, because that little bit there ties into with the lats and it just causes a nightmare, right? So get into that area there and you'll feel, oh God, that's amazing. Automatically you'll probably get a couple of degrees in range of motion straight away. Now, that's if it's a muscle issue. If it's what we call a stability issue, then we need to look at the shoulders themselves, because tight lats are usually compensating for your scapula, the big bony bits of bone in your back of your shoulders, around the rotator cuff area, where they're not stabilizing and doing the work they should do. So again, this ties into the previous neck article, the article we're doing on the blog as well, but also the podcast we did. Sometimes people have tight necks, tight lats, because the scapulars aren't doing the job they should be doing, right? So I see a lot of guys. Oh my god, it bugs the crap out of me. You see them warming up the rotator cuff before they're playing. They're not warming up the rotator cuff because they're arching their back and they're thinking they're doing it, right? You need to get this into position. You need to make sure you're doing it properly to really stabilize and work it. And what you tend to find is people have really weak scapula in external and internal rotation. And that is an important part to having loose lats, safe, healthy shoulders, but also helps you generate bat speed with the bat coming down. How about that?
Absolutely. I think it's probably a good idea. I'm sure we will do an article all about this with some more fixes and what you can do about it, like banded work for the shoulders and the scapula and all sorts of stuff. But basically, guys, if you want to hit better shots, sort out your lats. That is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And if you would like our free training plan, then go to cricketmanners.com/train. And remember, our goal is to make you a better cricketer.